And this is the key thing. If you're feeling any kind of fear, anxiety, pressure, anything like that at all, the only reason is because you set a bar up here that is going to be difficult to reach. In other words, you're trying to achieve something specific and you don't know whether or not you can do it because you're lacking the experience to look back on and go, oh, of course, I've done that before. So your job is to present a frame, an idea to people that is exciting enough for them to be motivated to volunteer, but at the same time has reduced the results that you're promising to virtually nil. When there's no results promised, it's just an exploration, an investigation, research. You're finding out what's there rather than trying to make something be there. Well, then your fear diminishes and completely eradicates because there is nothing for you to perform anymore. I want you to really press that or impress that upon your mind. Because if you're still feeling any form of fear or doubt inside your mind at this point, it is only because at some level you're still holding on to the idea that you have to be this way. You must be this kind of hypnotist doing these kind of things and getting these kind of results, otherwise you're a failure. That is the only way that you can feel fear, the only way you have a risk. And I'll demonstrate this for you if I may. Most people, if I ask them to go out onto the streets and meet a stranger and say hello to a stranger and make friends with them, most people go, well, I guess I could do that. But when it comes to actually doing it, social anxiety comes up, fear comes up. Why? It's a stranger. They don't know them. They don't know how they'll react. They don't know how they'll respond. And so these fears start naturally occurring. However, if I ask the very same person to go and look up an old friend, call up their mother, their father, their brother, someone they have a good relationship with, and just have a chat, they'll go, well, that's a no-brainer. Up comes the telephone. Hi, Mum, how's it going? Oh, 2 hours later, they'll come back and go, was that good? Well, of course it was good, because they had no performance anxiety. They had no fears or concerns, because there's nothing particular they were trying to achieve. They're just reconnecting with a human being they know will want to connect with them. You want to do the same thing with your hypnosis. You're not doing hypnosis, at least initially, because then there's no performance anxiety, there's no pressure trying to achieve a specific result. All you're trying to do is investigate how the mind is working. If you change that mindset inside your mind, then it's no longer about you. It's no longer about what you're doing. It's about them. It's about how they're responding. Now, you will see some of the things I'll do here in terms of the actual warm-up processes and the sessions and so on. Some of them I hope will fail. I don't know yet. I don't know the people are coming. But I sincerely hope that some of those exercises will not work out the way they're quote-unquote meant to. Why? So that you can see it. Now, unfortunately for you, I happen to be a good hypnotist, so I may or may not achieve my failure. Either way, as far as I'm concerned, it's fine. Because if it does fail, I will have learned something about the interaction. If it does not fail, I'll have learned something about the interaction also. And neither one of those situations is a problem for the subject, the volunteer, because they're learning something about it too. Provided you have some successes along the way, and I will show you how to get absolutely no-brainer successes, then the odd failure along the way is irrelevant. It's just part of the learning process. You have just found one of the ways in which their particular mind does not process an idea, which is just fine. So to encapsulate the whole idea, the frame that you present to a volunteer, to get them to volunteer, will make or break your session. It will either make it really easy for you because there's no fear anymore, you're not attached to anything, and they'll be happy to volunteer and be motivated, and you will feel safe and secure because you're not over-promising anything. At the same time, it sets the perfect context for the hypnotic context to occur and for you to get on with your job. So please remember those frames, the experimental frame versus the I'm a hypnotist frame, and the ways that you can navigate between the strong or the light version of those and diminish or increase risk, which of course diminishes and increases your own anxieties. And it's useful to start low and slowly move up to higher and higher levels so that you start to realize that you become more and more immune to feeling afraid or anything like that. The last idea I want to leave you with is to do with this right here. What is this? Well, this is a notepad. If you can get a better version of this, it's called a clipboard. You know those boards which are a bit of wood and a big clip on the top and papers inside of it? The reason that's even better than a notepad, although this kind of notepad will work also, is because, once again, the associations people have to it. Remember, the main frame we're presenting to someone is that we're running some form of an experiment. It's research. Well, what do researchers have? They have clipboards. They have forms to check and evaluate. Oh, look, he's a type A person, he's a type B person, he's a type C person. This person responds well to this type of suggestion. This person responds well to a different kind of suggestion. Oh, this person did not respond well to that suggestion. Notice, you're no longer failing as a hypnotist. What you've done is you've discovered what this subject responds to and does not respond to. And the magic of the form puts all the attention here. It means that you don't care whether you succeeded. You haven't failed. You have succeeded in the experiment because you found out what's actually there versus trying to make something be there that is not. So I think this sort of thing, a clipboard, a big notepad and a pen to be able to write notes down with, is very useful to support your framework that you're just doing an experiment here. You're doing some research here. You're investigating the mind and noticing how it grows or evolves or responds to different things. The other advantage you have from this clipboard, aside from how the subject will respond, is for you and for your learning process. You see, if you have a clipboard and you have your ability to take notes, well, why not take notes? The whole point for you to become a great hypnotist is to learn about how different people respond to different things. So write it down. I did this exercise, he responded this way. I did that exercise, I responded this way. Oh, I phrased it slightly differently today, and I got a much better response from the same person. I guess I'm learning something about how suggestion works, about how presenting suggestion works, and so on. So whilst the clipboard idea is really a part of the framework you're presenting to make life easier for yourself, it also becomes a valuable learning tool for yourself where you can keep track of your progress and see how shaping suggestions in different ways actually becomes more useful over time. So it has a nice double value here. So now you've learned the power of frame control and the different frames you're presenting to diminish risk or increase risk as your skill goes through and develops, and the power of the clipboard to support that idea, that frame. Now I think we're ready to start diving into the different sessions so you can actually learn what specifically can I do with these people when I get them there. So join me on the next video where we'll dive into our first practice session. And between now and that video, what I want you to think about is how much stuff we've talked about to get to this point. We've actually covered a lot of ground. And the reason I want you to really reflect on this is everyone in hypnosis focuses on the induction. What do I do to do the induction? What they miss is that the setup to the induction, the hypnotic context, everything we've been talking about up to this point will make that induction either easy or hard. If you do your setup well, it will be easy. If you do your setup badly, it will be hard, and chances are you'll get all kinds of responses that you do not want. So, before you start on the practice session, I would like to encourage you to reflect back on all the things that you've been learning on these videos. You can go back and look at them again if you want, and really reflect on what you've learned in terms of the principles, the context, the frames, the mindsets that you're trying to generate, and how you're diminishing your own risk and therefore your own anxiety levels whilst you're doing it. Because this will teach you how to create the right context to succeed with hypnosis. And in my opinion, that is where the battle is fought and won. Once you actually get a client in the chair facing you, well, if you've done this stuff that we've talked about well, it will be easy. If you do not, then good luck to you. You may succeed, you may fail. There is no way of predicting it because there's no way of knowing who you have in front of you. So my hope is that you've learned about the context, you've learned to set the right situation up in the first place, so by the time they sit right next to you and they're about to do hypnosis with you, well, guess what? You can only succeed at that point because you've already got the right situation ready for you. So, with that idea in mind, with those thoughts firmly implanted in your brain, let's turn to the next video and actually start into the very first practical session to start exploring the power of the mind.